Hi, I'm Dr. Casey Stannard, and I'm from the Department of Textiles, Apparel Design, and Merchandising, and I teach on the apparel design side. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about really the number one concern for the apparel industry, and that's sustainability. Globally, we're the number 2 most polluting industry, and so we have a lot to contribute in the area of sustainability in order to make a better place for the future. So when we think about sustainability in the apparel industry, it really can be thought of all the way from the fiber to the end consumer. When we look at our production and this very beginning of the apparel process, we can think about growing fibers or manufacturing apparel fabrics. So we have things like cotton, which we grow around here. Takes a lot of water, and it certainly does need a lot of chemicals to grow it. We also have a lot of different fabrics that can be made through various chemical processes, such as polyesters. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. You just have to look at them in a different sort of way. Other things that we can do when we have implications for sustainability in terms of design, we can really think about approaching our design process in a way so that more fabric is utilized in every design. There's been a big push for something called zero waste apparel design, and this is actually designing pattern pieces so that no fabric is wasted. Everything goes into the garment. Typically, you have anywhere from 15 to 30% of the fabric for an apparel run goes on the cutting room floor. It's absolutely not used. If you think about just the shapes of, necklines and armholes, that fabric just goes on the ground and isn't used for anything. There's other ways that we could take that fabric that's not put into apparel and maybe use it somewhere, going towards sustainability. Companies such as Madewell have actually taken some of the leftovers from the cutting room floor and turned them into products that are usable, such as insulation. They've been using blue jeans for that. Other types of implications, we tend to do a lot of our manufacturing overseas. So we have to transport all those garments. We got to put them on big tanker ships, bring them over here. That's creating a whole bunch of different issues for the environment. So maybe we need to not manufacture overseas. We could look at reshoring, manufacturing here in the US so we don't have to ship things so far. Other things we can think about for sustainability really have to go with the consumer. So over the past 50 years or so, we have been speeding up the consumption cycle. Historically, garments really came out twice a year. You had your spring season, you had your fall season, and people weren't trained to buy at the levels that they buy nowadays. We have sped up the consumption cycle and this desire for new fashion to a point where everyone wants something new all the time. It's seen as a form of entertainment to go out and buy a new top, which is problematic because people want to buy more, but they also want cheaper clothes. So we have the creation of fast fashion. So you might be familiar with Forever 21 or H&M. Those are typically the companies we hold up as the fast fashion no-nos. But they have a lot of clothing that is cheaply made, and it's also made in such a way that has a planned obsolescence. So, it might last for 3 wears. And that's really about how many times that consumer really cares about that garment, and then it might just fall apart. Or that consumer is just going to get rid of it. So that's certainly an issue. We also have the issue of what do consumers do with their garments once they're done with them? So end of life cycle. If we look at typical US consumption patterns, we have something like 10.5 million tons of clothing going into our landfill every year. That's a huge amount of garments that are just being thrown away. And typically they don't break down. That creates some more opportunities for possibly looking at, could we do some upcycling where we take old garments and create them into something new? We can look at turning them into other products. So like, again, the insulation idea that Madewell is doing. You have some companies that are doing repair programs. So Columbia, for instance. If you buy a jacket from them and the zipper breaks, instead of just throwing it in the landfill, you can actually send it back to that company. They'll replace that zipper and send it back to you as the consumer, so you can continue to use it. So there's certainly different ideas. We even have some new apparel models, such as renting companies, where instead of purchasing something new for every event, you can just rent it, like rent the runway, and wear it once and send it back, so more people can use this garment without having to have everyone buy one of their own and then throw it in the landfill. So there's certainly a lot of pushes toward improving sustainability, but we still have a lot of challenges. And that's something for you to think about, is what kind of alternative ways is there for us as an industry to try to promote consumers to spend less time wanting to buy new fashions, and what can we do to help encourage them to buy garments that maybe cost a little more but last a little longer?